Probably for that reason Bohardius also put Italy under Chetim. Eusebius, Cedrin, and Suida, they say that Romans and Latins are descended from Chiti or Cheta. One city in Latium was called Chetia, as well as one city near Volsk, which in Stephen of Byzantium is called Echetia. One river near Cuma was called Cetus. Campbell says, Sabini are of Hittite origin and related to the Russens. The Hittites are the greatest people of antiquity and the founders of culture in many countries. One city in ancient Macedonia, in its central part, is the province of Emati, south of Vodena, was called, according to Greek writing, Kition. All this evidence in support of Serbian origin of the ancient Latins and Romans, as well as most of the Italian tribes. It is always in the Old Testament takes into account the place of origin of nation, regardless of where it settled. The key to explaining everything lies in the meaning of the name Chetim itself. The Serbian society consisted of 4 classes, and this is confirmed by social organization of the Aryans in the East, and is proven through the codes, finally with the code of Tsar Dusan. The first class is the educational class, which includes the clergy. It is the class of glory. The second class is the warrior or military class. The third class consists of free peasants, craftsmen and merchants. The fourth class consists of merops, which include foreigners, dependent landless peasants, homeless and captive hired workers, as well as natives in conquered countries. The first, the literal class, was the most frequent worshippers of goddess Pallas and the god Teut, and the second class, the warrior class, were worshippers of god Areta and goddess Aretusha, provided administrative staff and together formed the ruling class under the name Geti. The name Geti is written in Hebrew as Heti, in plural Hetim, in Greek as Keti, Kelti and Kiti. The Geti are also referred to as Hatti or Hittites in Asia Minor and Syria, Hatti and Kati in India. In all the conquered lands and settlements of all Serbian tribes, there is name Geti, more or less different in the records of foreign languages. In Old Macedonia, there were personal names Getie and Geta. We must distinguish between two Macedonians, one to which the name Hetim of the Old Testament refers to, and the historical one. According to Strabon, historical Macedonia is a country bordering on the west with Adriatic Sea, in the east to the mouth of the river Marica, Old Ibar, in the north to Serbian mountains and the Rhodophis, and the south to Mount Olympus. The Serbian mountains, which are mentioned here, as with other ancient writers, begin with the Shar mountains. In the west, Macedonia encompasses southern Albania. The spaces ruled by Philip and Alexander are not all included here. These are the areas to the east to the Black Sea, to the north to the Danube, including Srem, and the west to River Bosna. Ancient writers do not consider all these areas to be Macedonia, and the borders given to it by Strabon are the widest historical boundaries in one short time. In the north, the border of Macedonia went below Bela Zora, that is modern Veles. Bela Zora was capital of Peony. However, Macedonia as Hetim is something else, since it encompasses the entire coast of Thrace. In time of Homer, while the name Macedonia was not yet appeared, that country is included under Thrace, that is, Old Rashka, which included all the areas between the Sea of Marmara and the Adriatic. That is why in Homer's time it is said that Boreas, Bura, north wind, and Zephyr, west wind in relation to Greece, blow from Thrace. That Thrace is really Chetim, on whose territory Macedonia later developed and became a famous state. When the Old Testament was written, Macedonia already existed, but it was not known by that time, since that name for a long time meant a small and not very important province. Only later, when it became famous and a leading state of the Serbian race, Jewish writers marked it as Chetim instead of Thrace, all the more so because it was about the same people in the same country. In the 4th century BC, Macedonia took over the leadership of Serbian world and in 3 centuries really embodied Getia. Barton says that the land of the Hittites is mentioned Barton says that the land of Chetim is mentioned in a tablet from Babylon that dates back to the time of King Shamsuilun, the successor of Hammurabi. Hammurabi's real name is Hammurapi, and in Serbian and in Old Testament it is mentioned as Amraphel. Once upon a time, Judea was the leading state of Serbian race and a representative of Getia, so Ragozin says that the people of Lydia are people of mostly Chetim race. The Lydian supreme god was Manes. The role of Manesto, in Judea is the same as among the Aryans in East. We have already mentioned that in Macedonia there was a city of Getin, Kition in Greek, and Kitium in Latin. It was the capital of province of Ematia, whose real name was Madia, before Karan took Vodena, a little north of Getin in the same province, and made it his capital. The province of Matia was a central country and in fact the first Macedonia. It is necessary to look at the use of the name Cheti, which mentioned in the modern world almost exclusively as Hittites. At first it was thought that the name originated from the city of Hattusha in Cappadocia, the capital of a powerful and important empire. But since that name is found in several places in Europe, even before Hattusha is the form of Heti or Keti, the origin of the name cannot be derived from the name of the city of Hattusha, but vice versa. Assyrian records mention the Hattushans as Hatti, which apparently refers to the name of their capital Hattusha. However, in Assyrian records there is a triple spelling of the name Hatti, Hatte, and Heti. The Jews called them Hittites, not only the Hattushans, but also those who were in Palestine and who had no provable ties with the Hattushans. We have already mentioned that, thanks to the insufficient specificity of Hebrew alphabet, Hittite is also read as Chetim is also read as Hittim. From wrong reading of Hetic name in newer time, Western writers made the new shape, Hittite. Waddell explains, Heths Jews called Heth or Hith, and speak about them as a ruling race in Phoenicia and Palestine in time when Abraham came down there. On Jewish shape, Hit, they added Latin and Ite, and they got Hittites. And really, name Hittites is made in 20th century, and such name is never found in history. Since the end of 19th century, on the west was used name Heti and Hetian until it was replaced with Hittite. The Hittite coin is not only wrong, but it also deviates from the real name and makes it difficult to establish historical truths. In the first volume of the History of the Serbs, we use the name Hatti for Cappadocian Empire, as it is mentioned in Assyrian records in the capital Hattusha. States we will use the name Heti, that is Geti. This allows us to distinguish between Het in Asia Minor and Geti in Europe, or Het in Middle East and Asia. During the Ninos campaign, the Serbs from the Helm Peninsula occupied Cappadocia and conquered the native people who were of special race, neither Aryan nor Semitic, and were called Huri or Hurits. Firen says, in Asia Minor, the newcomers mingled with the natives, the Hittites, from whom they adopted the name and laid the foundations of a powerful military feudalism. This movement brought the Hyksos to Egypt. The Egyptians called the Hyksos Hegau Kasteu, which means foreign leaders. The main cities of Hyksos in Egypt were Sarbar and Vido, Abaris and Abydos from Greek records. The Serbs left only one ruling class in their capital, Hattusha, and continued further east. They took with them a part of the Hurrites as their auxiliary warriors. During the invasion of Mesopotamia with Serbian Medes, who were the main conquering force, the Hattusians were also present. This was written by both Vardunas and Hattusians. Leopold Messerschmitt says that around 2000 BC, the Hattush tribes had to invade and conquer Syria and Mesopotamia. John Garstang also claims the Hatti conquered Babylon in 1025 BC, and this information is in the records of both.